it's setting up. So let's see if it loads here. My computer's a little slow on the Facebook end. Okay, it says it's streaming. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. S. Sorry for not being able to join you guys online last week. I was out sick, so we didn't have it last week, but we're very happy to join you online on Facebook Live and in our Zoom meeting. I'm Mr. S, the fifth grade teacher, and
this is Miss Lar. Hello, the mental health counselor for Blanca Alvarado.
So I want to share the screen real quick on my computer. It's going to show my Facebook page, but really quick. Students should have filled out this survey today. The topic was getting to know our emotions. What we typically do, if you don't know, parents and family, they watch videos, they answer questions, and there's a section down here where we get information about what homeroom they belong to, how they're feeling, and potentially an opportunity to follow up with Miss Lar or their teachers or really any staff members on campus. Now, another cool thing, actually, Miss Lar, do you want to talk about this page?
Yeah, absolutely. When you go onto our Blanca Online School, there is a link for a mental health page. This is our mental health page that is going to house a lot of resources that our families might need. We will have our past Mental Health Wednesday videos, as well as other mental health topics like bullying, emotions, coping skills that people can choose right there. But then towards the bottom left, we have our resources. And I think it's really important for our students to know how to get crisis help now. If their parents are interested in outside counseling, they can go to the Santa Clara County resource page. And then also we have a suicide prevention hotlines, but not just suicide prevention. We also have hotlines called Teen Talk. If you want to go ahead and click that, actually, you will see
this one or this one?
The suicide prevention hotlines.
Okay.
Once you click that, you can see that down there at the bottom, there are different hotlines that you can call 24/7, but specifically Coalition for the Youth and Teen Talk, you can text these phone numbers. So for our students that might be feeling lonely, have something that they need to talk about at night when maybe their teachers or I are not available, their friends or their family, they can absolutely talk to a fellow teen or to an adult that would be able to answer via call or text. And so I wanted our students to have a quick place to find these resources that are going to be helpful for not only our students, but their parents.
Cool. And not only that, we did announce officially for our school that we do have a YouTube page. So if you actually type it in the search bar, Alpha Blanca on YouTube, you should be able to find our official YouTube channel. As you can see, our uploads are already available for the first few weeks that we had Mental Health Wednesdays on Zoom and Facebook. So if you want to rewatch the entire episode, this is where you can actually watch the entire episode instead of watching those 10-minute clips that you see on Instagram. So I'm going to stop the screen share here, and we're going to actually discuss our topic today, which was getting to know your emotions.
Yeah. Oh, do I hear a little bit of a, oh no, okay, it's all right. I heard a little bit of an echo. Yeah, I'm so excited to start talking about our emotions. I think the Alpha Values mini-series was really nice because we got to learn more about our Alpha Values. Going even deeper into mental health, I think it's really important we start with our emotions, and there's really no better way than to start with the movie Inside Out. Have you seen it, Mr. S?
I have seen it, and I thought that was a beautiful example to talk about this topic.
Yeah, it's so accessible. I'm very thankful to Pixar and Disney Studios, not sponsored, but really they are. It is an amazing movie. I think there's nothing like it in terms of being able to explain why all of our emotions are important, why we need to feel our emotions in the time when something happens, and that it is possible to have a very complicated emotions, like feeling happy and sad at the same time. And then throughout the whole movie, I let people know that this is kind of how our society views happiness. It feels like it's the only thing that we're able to express, and that everything else is kind of problematic. But in reality, when you try to just experience happiness to the point that you stifle down other feelings, then it actually doesn't help you process what's happened to you, and you can hold on what's happened to you and what's made you sad for a longer amount of time. So we need to embrace all of our feelings, and we'll go further into that later. But that's where we start. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the baseline of those 5 emotions was a very good start to have like a foundation. But I mean, I'm sure you guys know there are more emotions that we can feel, whether it's similar to some of those 5 things or it's very different from those 5 things. But we have to acknowledge, like Miss Lara is talking about, that all 5 emotions, when you feel them, it's okay to feel all 5 emotions. And I think the first thing that comes to my mind as a male, there's a stigma that if you're a man, you cannot cry, or you can't have any emotional reactions to certain things or in certain ways. And that's our society telling us and putting up a very high standard, or a certain standard that is not exactly true to the human experience. So I think it's a very important thing that Miss Lara states in terms of feeling those emotions and feeling okay to have those emotions.
Yeah, they're not going to go away. I mean, our whole lives we're going to have emotions. And I think it is very sad that we're told not to cry, not to experience emotions, especially for men. You're right. There are stigmas with showing your emotions. I remember telling someone once that, it's okay to be angry, right? It's okay to feel angry. And I make that distinction too. I'll say that in a moment, but it's okay to feel angry. I think what people have maybe confused about it is that it's not okay to punch someone when you're angry. And so people think, okay, well, then I just can't feel angry. Why can't you feel angry and talk about it? Why can't you feel angry and go for a run? Why can't you feel angry and then process it in a way that's not going to hurt yourself or others? That way you can have your reaction. You're definitely allowed to feel angry, but you have to express it in a way that's not going to hurt yourself or other people. And that's what healthy coping skills are. That will be coming in the next few weeks. But I think it gets very confusing for people to think like, okay, so how am I supposed to feel something then? I should just not feel it at all. And that can get very confusing. But I do mention at the very beginning that the language for when you're expressing your emotions is to say, I feel sad, I feel happy, not I am happy or I am sad. It's a very small difference, but it really helps show that that emotions are temporary and they're feelings. If you say like you are happy, then suddenly like, what am I if I'm not? Am I bad if I'm not happy? So feelings are feelings and we should express them in that language.
I think you bring up a very detailed aspect of emotions in general. If I think of the word happy, like you said, I could be really happy and just take my shirt off and start running around in the middle of the road. Doesn't mean, I can be happy, but I think there's a right way to be happy that is healthy for me. Like you said, the keyword healthy, versus me being happy. Like I'm really excited. I want to share my happiness with a friend or my parents or my family. Like usually my mom still calls me every so often. Like we'll share happy news. Like, guess what, Ma? Pay raise. That's what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Like that's a healthy way to be happy, but I think there's a fine line where you can go over or under as well. So it's just finding out what's the best option, what's the healthiest for us. And the second point that comes to mind is you'll notice, that those emotions are for, I think, one main character, but all of us, if you look at those 5 emotions, that's like happy, sad, angry, and that, not everyone is always like fluctuating the same way for all 5 emotions. We also, like some folks, honestly, I'll admit it, sometimes I have friends that are really calm, less angry than I am for certain situations, and I get more angry in those typical same situation, but I typically get more angry, they get less angry, they're more calm. So we have to understand that everyone has a different level in terms of the emotions as well. And as people who are understanding and empathetic, we've also got to check ourselves before we lay judgment on others regarding those emotions.
Right. Actually, something that I say towards the end of the second video is that we need to learn how to create space. Not everyone can be happy all the time. And I think that is a ridiculous expectation. You don't just feel happiness, and that's the only thing you can feel or allowed to express. And so if you're angry, Mr. S, if you are upset, if you're feeling like you're about to lose it, I can hold that for you. I can understand that you're angry. I'm not going to make you feel bad about being angry. You're allowed to feel anger, and absolutely the response to your anger would be to accept that you feel angry and to not hurt yourself or others. That would be, what we consider like a healthy or appropriate response. For example, like there is such a thing as being too happy. Like, have you ever had a really, really, really happy dog jump on you? At a certain point, you're like, oh my gosh, okay, calm down. Like, you're pushing on me, maybe you're hurting me. And dogs are very sweet, but they also don't have a lot of emotional regulation. And so for us, it's the same thing. Too much happiness looks like people need to calm you down. Too much sadness. Okay, well, then maybe we need to get back to a place of calm. Too much anger. You got to, get that calm feeling too. And so, calm is our baseline. Calm is how I would hope everybody feels. If people were baseline anxious all the time, baseline afraid, or baseline sad, we would need to work on that. But typically, our baseline should be calm, and what happens in our lives, we have reactions with emotions.
Yeah, and it makes me think too for the extreme situations as well. I think another point that you brought up earlier is that we only kind of typically seek out like the happy feelings and emotions, and that's only an indicator that we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, sometimes if we're sad, we feel like the only way that we can feel better about being sad is to have a whole lot of happy to deduct that. I'm using mathematical terms to take away the sadness. And yeah, I'm sure it can help, but it's also sadness is there because we have to experience it. We have to navigate through it. So for example, I know sometimes when people get really sick, it's really hard to see, someone, having a hard time going through something, whether it's mental sickness or physical sickness. It's just really hard, like especially if it's a loved one, like seeing them having those challenges, it makes you sad. Okay. And so it's okay to feel sad in those circumstances, but it's how you approach it. It's your mindset and how you actually have to go through that sadness, not only for you, but for that person as well, to uplift that person. So I think it doesn't always, neatly work out where like, okay, I'm just going to do something that's going to make me happy and automatically I'm not going to be sad anymore. I think that's not the best approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All of our emotions are useful, all of them. And so when I hear that some people try to suppress their sadness or suppress their fear, I'm like, why? That's useful. Fear is incredibly useful. Nobody likes to be scared. I completely understand that, especially when things are feeling out of control. But fear is what tells us that something is wrong. And so that is really important to um, begin to feel and understand. Some people are like, oh, yeah, I used to be afraid of that, but now I'm not anymore. What's tough about that is that actually that was a situation in which something was wrong, but it continued to happen and now you're used to it. On a more serious note, there are a lot of loud shots or noises in Eastside San Jose, and I hear students say that they are used to them. But actually, it's really important to understand that fear is still something that you feel during that time. It's how you know that you need protection. It's how you know you need help. It's how you know that you're unsafe. And so to say, oh, I'm not afraid of that anymore, we actually need to embrace that fear because that fear is going to make change for us. When you're feeling sad, that sadness is something that you need to feel so that you can learn how to move on towards gratitude. All of our emotions are really important. And I think stifling them can really only deter you from having happiness later, which is ironic because that's why people stifle their feelings. They think they only want to be happy, but it actually stops you from being happy sooner.
I think you bring up a good point. Sometimes we get so used to some of the things in our emotions and we kind of brush it off. Like if I put it in the context of maybe, okay, by the way, I'm not really at a beach. Okay, this is like a fake background. So just to clarify that, I know I have my tie-dye shirt on and it seems like I'm at the beach. So let's clarify that. But if I were to use this background as an example, like the 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 waves that you see behind me, I might be used to like if I live in around the area, I'm like used to the waves coming in and hearing the breeze. But okay, if I get so used to it, like, oh, it's never a danger. And in some one of those days, there's heavy wind, and the weather changes, and the tide actually comes up, where it's gonna flood my place. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fine. I'm used to those noises. Guess what? If I'm in a state of danger and I'm used to it, I'm not gonna know that I need to get out of there before it becomes even more dangerous, and it could cause my death or an injury to me. So I very important point that you bring up in terms of like we might be used to these things and we kind of like just push it off, push it aside. It's not good to lay those things aside and not deal with them.
Yeah, wonderful example is that our emotions are natural reactions to things that are happening. Have you ever heard trust your gut? Like your gut
Yeah.
instinct? Yeah, your gut instincts are your feelings. If you're feeling uncomfortable, feeling sad, feeling scared, like the point is to actually feel them and have them like inform you of the situation. And so for so many people that might just like push aside their feelings, like, oh, someone just passed away and I feel really sad about it. But then you're like, no, I don't want to feel sad about it. I want to feel happy. That sadness can linger for longer. And so all of our emotions are there for a reason. And I am sorry for any of the people that may have heard before that their emotions are too big or too difficult, or that nobody can deal with them or no one can handle them. Because what that's telling me is that they never really got to express their emotions in a way that was like healthy, acceptable, okay, and helps you move on. The best example of this is the second video that I show is when Bing Bong feels very sad that he's going to be forgotten by Riley. And so sad and happiness is like, come on, Bing Bong, it's okay, everything's fine, don't worry, let me cheer you up. And he can't. He's very sad. And in the movie, sadness sits with him and says, I'm really sorry that that's happening. I bet Riley really liked playing with you. And then she lets him express his sadness. He starts to cry, and then he feels better because he was able to express his sadness. Whereas joy was just like, get over it, be happy right now. And that is not the best way to feel your emotions. It's just trying to cover it up. So we should really be encouraging our students, our families to feel their emotions more, because it definitely helps you out more in the long run.
Absolutely, and I think that's kind of segues into the next point of our discussion as well. We think about how to talk about them and who to talk with. I think those are two pretty important things. Coming from my background, my family, my parents immigrated to the States from South Korea, so they grew up with a different background, a different culture, a different mindset. So maybe some of our students can relate. Maybe you can relate. Maybe not. It's okay. But at least for my parents, sometimes like being emotional and showing like some of those emotions and talking about those emotions weren't accepted by them because we had to be tough. We had to have a thick skin. Like there was no time and place for that. I had to be better with myself. All these things, seem good in my mind and in my heart. According to my parents, but growing up and like having the experiences with my friends in particular, talking about those things and being able to talk about and finding out how to best say those things without hurting them or hurting myself. It was a big learning experience. I'm still doing it today.
Yeah.
I'm saying this so much, but even in my 30s, and I'm sure in my 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it may be, I know that it's something that I'm going to always continuously learn. And I'm excited about that because I'm going to have different experiences throughout my entire life. I'm going to meet different people. I'm going to maybe even hang out with the same people too. And sometimes we'll change, sometimes we won't change. But talking about our emotions and finding people that we trust and love to be able to understand and simply listen to that is very, very important for my health. We think about our physical health, but our emotional health is a huge part as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely bring up a good point, because next week we're going to be talking about how to talk about those emotions. And we're definitely going to go into these I feel statements. Something just happened, like I dropped my ice cream. And it could be just like really important for me to say, I feel sad that I dropped my ice cream. I know that sounds silly. You might assume that what my feelings are, but just by saying I feel sad that I dropped my ice cream helps people know where I am, what I'm thinking. If someone, is like, oh, well, let's get you another one, or, like they're going to help me. They're going to try to help me with my situation because I'm able to express my feelings. So that's what we'll talk about next week. But for right now, I did ask our students, who is someone that they are willing to listen to and support no matter what. And I think that it's, for a lot of our students, they're very willing to do that. They're like, you know what, whether you're sad, whether you're angry, whether you're afraid, like, come talk to me. And I think that that is a really wonderful thing to reflect on, when they have to understand that there should be someone for them too. I think that we're so willing to love and be kind and be nice to other people that sometimes we don't know how to be kind to ourselves. And so I wanted our students to reflect on, so many of them are like, I have so much space for my best friend when she is sad. I sometimes help my brothers calm down when he's angry and he broke something. Lots of our students can hold space for other people's emotions. And I think that we should be able to do the same for them, and other people should be able to do the same for them. So like you're saying, you want to find people that you can trust to accept you, listen to you, and support you through your feelings.
And again, everyone operates completely differently too. So for me, for Mr. S, I think the ones I trust and love the most, and when it comes to talking about not only my emotions, but who I am, who I want to be, my aspirations, so on and so forth, I think there are two types of qualities that I tend to gravitate towards or like. One of those qualities is someone that is kind of like had a similar experience to me, like maybe, like, for example, to be honest, my background, I come from a Christian family. I'm also a Korean American as well. So like having those type of like similarities can be helpful, because you have someone that can sympathize and empathize and kind of understand where you're coming from, especially like some of those experiences, like what it was like to be in like the church setting and like talk to certain people, like how we're supposed to act, what we're supposed to do and stuff like that, like how we were raised as kids to now what we're supposed to be like as adults, stuff like that. Talking about those things, they can understand because they also went through it too. And the second thing is, even though someone that might, this is actually contrary to what I just said, even though they might not have the similarities, or maybe even another thing to it, a subtopic of it, maybe they just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how, like, I don't know how to help you. It's okay. I think with some of my friends, they have no idea what that experience is like. They don't know how to, like, for example, if I'm like really angry or really sad or really happy, like, okay, this is like, it's not, remember we talked about those different levels? Like, this is a completely different level of happiness or sadness that I'm not used to. But I bring that up because those friends that acknowledge that and are honest and trustworthy, they don't care about all that, the differences, but they're still willing to listen. That's why I said that before. If they're willing to just have an open ear, like good friends, honestly, really good friends, this is my opinion only, but good friends don't interrupt you. They sit there and they listen to everything you have to say. And then when you're done, you're like, okay, they'll take time to think about what you said, try to process it, and then respond. Okay. I'm glad you like for example, I'm glad you shared this, Mr. S. And okay, this is what I think. I think you feel blah 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 because blah blah blah. Okay, so I think those are those are two big qualities that I look in somebody in terms of sharing my emotions in particular, that make me feel like I trust them and they can also show me love in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whether somebody, when you talk to someone, nothing feels better when the other person's like, oh, I totally get that. I felt that same way. Like that feels so good. It makes you feel normal. It makes you feel like other people have the same, feelings as you, that your emotional reaction to something is acceptable. It just feels really good. And
Connectivity.
yeah, yeah. And then on the other hand, if someone's like, I don't know what that feels like, and I'm sorry that you feel that way, or I would have thought maybe like this is how I would have handled it, that kind of difference can be valuable too. And so, as much as we would love to go to our parents sometimes with our feelings, we don't know how they're going to accept our feelings. So sometimes we go to our friends. Oh, well, that one friend, I don't know how they're going to be. They always give me advice and they always interrupt me. I don't know if I really want to go to that friend with my feelings. The hope is that you have one person that will be there to listen to your feelings. Ideally, it's more. Ideally, everyone in our lives would be able to hold space for us when we have difficult feelings or a difficult reaction to something. But my hope for our students is that they have one. And if they currently don't have anyone that is able to hold space for them and listen to them, then they know that they can ask for me or for their teachers.
Absolutely. So we're out of time now for today's Mental Health Wednesday, but we appreciate those that have been watching the videos and supporting this discussion. Again, we always want to end the meetings with just a reminder that you can always reach out to Ms. Lar, our wonderful counselor, and talk to her. You can also talk to your teachers or any staff at Alpha Blanca Alvarado. We don't want you to isolate yourself and be in a corner and feel like you're stuck and no one can help you. So please reach out. If we can't help you, then obviously we have some wonderful resources that are available aside from some of the folks that, in organizations that Ms. Lar knows. There's also things that are posted on our new mental health website. And not only that, you guys, I would recommend our students and our parents to rewatch the videos, whether it's the survey videos from Ms. Lar's Google form or it's this actual meeting itself. Rewatch those videos if it makes you kind of rethink about things. We would love your comments and questions. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, I gotta go to the beach now. I gotta go out into the ocean and go swimming. So I'm gonna say my goodbyes. No, this is a fake background. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Miss Lar.
All right. Bye, everyone. Take care. See ya.